All right. Streaming, recording. Let me just get everything else set up. No, it's not made for kids. Let's see. Google is figuring its stuff out, I think. Okay. Hmm. This is how I did it last time. Let's see. Something went wrong. Thanks, Google. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Yeah. I wish I could have set this up. Been prepared. Cool. Okay, everything looks good now. What's up? What's up? I am live streaming today. I'm going to build meet.google.com, just the lander. I'm going to build it in Webflow. I've got an empty project here. Excited for this build. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Looking at this, I mean, it's a pretty simple layout. We've got the navbar, and we've got some stuff up on the right here. If there's time, I'll see if we can do some code to make this timer work. And we got just basically a left and right. On the left, heading, subheading. It's got this enter a code or link box that makes this button reveal once you're focused. And when you start typing, it actually activates the button. So we'll work on that. Some little hover effects here and there, nothing too crazy. And then a slider. I'm going to use the native Webflow slider. I usually regret it, but we'll see how it goes. We will see. Okay. Just start. Normally I'll grab the fonts from the network tab. I already grabbed the fonts for this one. And what else? Oh, I wanted to look at some responsiveness. I'm pretty sure it just stacks. Yeah, it stacks like that. We'll do that tablet breakpoint. And then another interesting thing for widescreens, oops, 300, not 300, I want 3000. It's just this 2-column layout that they built. And the right side actually takes up a lot more space than the left side, and they center it. So it has kind of this weird, like just too much white space for me. So we'll see if we can use a container that has a max width. I mean, we will use a container that has a max width. It's not too difficult to do. And see if we can make some improvements on Google's design. So that's what we're going to do today. I think it'll take me probably at least an hour, probably two. So let's go ahead and jump into it. It uses this font, Google Sans Display, and just Google Sans. I got Google Sans, so that'll be enough. And then I'll start grabbing some of the colors. Got the body text color here. And I have to, yep. Great. I want the body all pages tag, not the, I want to create my own. Okay, gotta do it again. Set the default to 16 pixels. Now we'll set this. Oh, I need to load the font. Project settings, fonts. Upload a font. And we'll just grab them all for now. Cool. Back to the designer. And what else should I start with? I have this gray at the top. Get what that color is. This I'm going to change back. I shouldn't. No need to actually select the body all pages tag there. Let's call this caption. And then this one can actually go to the trash. Delete. That's the one I want for body all pages. Yes. Let's see. Anything else I need to grab? Get some of these images. And we'll say 2 is good for now. I need the logo. I think this meat text is actually separate from the logo. Yeah, it's a span, so we can add that too. All right, let's get started. Chuck our first div in there. We'll call that our page wrapper. And we can get our main wrapper. And we'll start building out the nav here. Nav and tag that as nav. And anything specific in here? We'll get to that later. I'm just going to give this a little bit of padding on either side. Let's see, what do they? Yeah, they have a little bit here. And this I'm just going to have it be one big flex box. This is going to be one box over here. This will be another box over here. And then within those, I will probably have to have some other flex boxes as well, or grid, whatever I decide to use. Call this nav left. And just duplicate it. Nav right. Okay, make this flex box horizontal, middle, and space between. It's going to push them to either side. Let's load up. Let's grab some of our images and chuck them in. This one, this one, this one. Google logo.html. What did I do? I must have saved it as a link. This is my first stream. I'm actually listening to some music, but I don't know how to pipe it through the computer. So you can listen to your own music if you are watching this. Figure it's better to let you decide. My goal is to just get something up into YouTube land so I can see how I do. Okay, and then this has some text. I'm just going to make it a text block. Let's see. We'll change that blue underline too. I'm actually going to throw in an embed right now at the top. I like to have one here just to write some custom CSS when I need to. And let's see. So I want to target the A tag. And I want color to inherit. I do this in pretty much every project. And I want text decoration to be none. That's going to prevent it from being underlined. Cool. And the color's kind of looks a little bit off, but we'll see. Call this logo. This I'll change to logo image or something that makes more sense. Always got to name these. That's number one. Number one concern. Let's see. Let me see how big it is over here. 22 pixels. So we'll do 22 divided by 16. And change the color to whatever this is. Okay, that's better. Still looks too small. Let's see. Maybe if I'm thinking if it just aligns the baseline, it'll look all right. I think maybe just a touch bigger. That looks a bit better. Okay, cool. Now if I'm going to change the line height, and that's going to change everything anyways. But not too bad. Okay. And then you could make a hover interaction. Let's see, how does this work? I thought I saw it underlined, and now it's not underlining. What's going on here? Okay. Well, I'll leave it for now. Oh, maybe it was me. No? Okay, moving on. Start working on this right block over here. I've already got nav right. I'm going to need text. This will just be a spacer element and then some more text. Getting a warning that my video resolution is not optimal. But yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm just going to push on. If it's all for nothing, then it's all for nothing. It wouldn't be the first time. See, nav right. This should be flex as well. Just copying that. Going to throw a div. Call it divider. Dot. Divider. I don't know. Make it something like 0.5 rem by 0.5 rem. That's looking all right. Make it gray. Why is my nav right not centering everything? Does this have a bottom? Yeah. Set that to 0. Set this to time. Well, we'll do nav underscore time text. And we'll give this the same one. This needs to be rounded. 100 VW. And it needs a little bit of margin on the left and right. Let's make 0.5 for now. That's a little big. How big is this text? 18 pixels. That's what, 1.125 rem? Yeah. This is interesting, just talking to myself while I build. I haven't done that before. Usually it's quiet, but this is different. And that's okay. Give it some padding. Did I set the color here? I think it needs to be lighter. Yeah, that's better. And it's setting itself as Arial. Why is it setting as Arial? Because I didn't set it here. Where's my Google Sans? Perfect. Okay, and this is what, like Monday, July 25th? Boom, moving right along. Does that look a little big? It looks a little big. Let's do 0.3. Great. Now we need some icons. So this is Google Material Design. I'm just going to grab those icons. Google Material icons. Go to the guide here. I know I'm going to need this icons library to get the icons, but I'm going to start by just grabbing them via this link tag. You could put this in the head section of your settings, but it won't be live in the designer when you do that. So I'm just going to chuck them in this embed that I have. That way I can load them directly into designer. Okay, call this something like global. Most people call it global styles, but whatever. Okay, and the first one I think is like a help icon. This looks good. I'm just going to grab it like this. You could download the SVG or however you want to do it, but this is easy enough. I think you need like a Webflow Pro account to use these embeds all over the place. So, but I imagine if you clone the website, I'll make it clonable after that. I think the embeds will carry through. So you could just grab it from there. Uh-oh, that's not working how I want it to. Loading the icons. I need a class. Material symbols outlined. Give me, I think it gave me. What did it say? I'm just looking through the documentation here. Okay, let's do this one. Are they all outlined? This one has that little fill there. This one is filled as well. I'm gonna try this. Actually, where's the one? What happens if I just get rid of the class? No, that's not what I wanted. This was, well, let's leave it at face. Oh, that worked. Follow the documentation. I don't even have this class, but that's okay for now. What I'm going to do is check for help. Was it help? It was help. Let's see what happens now. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, now we'll change this. Was it outlined? Is that what it was? Nope, definitely not. Material symbols outlined. I think the other one was materials icons. Yeah. Oh, come on. Come on, Keegan. You can do this. Let's go back to the original. Let's pull. I'm pretty sure I've done it this way. Throw this in its own style tag just to keep it separate. And we will copy paste. Okay, we have an icon. It is not outlined. What happens if I search? I mean, do I want to download the SVG? I was hoping I could just get it done like this. I need to pull in the link like this if I want to use this style. Material icons. This is what I want. Okay. Please, oh, please, oh, please. There we go. Does that look pretty similar? Yeah. Looks pretty good. I think I want different text color though. Perfect. We'll call this material icon. Oops. Why did this end up all the way over here? Because they're not in the same div. Okay, and this is actually a link block, so I'll go ahead and throw it in a link block. This centered. And let's see what happens. Give it some padding. I think what I'm going to do is just set the width and height directly. And then it's not completely centered because it looks a little bit chonky. So let's just apply some top margin. That looks pretty centered. Maybe a little more. Awesome. Let's make them in their own block. We'll call this like nav icon wrap. And we'll call this nav. Well, I'm going to call this just getting fancy with the name in here. How many of these do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's flex this. Flex horizontal. I'm going to give it a little 0.5 padding to that. Sorry, margin. This is feedback, settings, and apps. Let's grab. I don't need this anymore. Feedback. This one. This is oh, we got a solid one again. I'm just gonna move on. If I were doing a real build, I would probably just grab the SVG. But this is kind of a fun way to do it, just something a little different. This one looks a little weird. Well, that's what we got. They're all coming through filled, of course. I'm just gonna look for outlined. See if it gives us something. It doesn't. I'll worry about that later. Keep saying that, and then I don't. Okay, well, it's in there. Come on, give me a rounded apps at least. Man, we're already deviating from the plan. Probably should have read the documentation. We are going to press. And these two are a little bit separate from the other ones as well. Yeah. So I'll give those another wrapper. Let's grab this wrap. Make sure those are centered. Okay, we are moving along here. Let's say Navbar done. That's not ideal, but we can deal with that later. And then, of course, the time is static. We can deal with that later too. Write some custom code for that. Let's get into building the main section. I'm just going to give the page padding same as the nav, 5%. And container, this is what I was talking about. We want this to go 100% of the width. We want it to take up a max width of, I don't know, let's say 60 rem. And then, well, there's nothing in there. Let me chuck a heading in there, just so we see it. And then we'll notice it's going to stick to the left. Yep, that's expected. We need to center it. Saw a funny joke the other day about centering a div being challenging. I remember starting and yeah, it was very confusing. And now I'm gonna, if we look here, basically want to take up 100% of the height. And if we scroll up, we're gonna see it stays centered until it hits a certain point and then it stops. So yeah, we can, the way we'll do that, we'll call this hero component, and we'll set a min height of 100 VH. And then we'll flex and center. And I'm going to set space between again. So the left is pushed to the left and the right is pushed to the right. We'll create a nav left. Create another div. Nav right. Oh, why am I calling it nav? Now I have to delete it. Hero right. Otherwise, it would have renamed these ones up here. Here left and here right. Okay, now we can put the heading in there. And I'll just chuck a slider in the other side. Or slider, slider, slider. There it is. I'm not going to do anything with that for now. You know what I'll do is I will make hero left expand, or grow, I should say, to fill max space, and hero right, we will have that shrink. But we're going to have the images control the size of that. So let me throw one image into the slide just to get started. Cool. I know it doesn't look great right now, but we'll fix that. Let's focus on hero left right now. What's the weight here? Font weight 400. Call that our H1 class. I don't like how Webflow automatically adds margin top and bottom to all these. And I don't think they're actually going to let me copy paste, but something we can do. Get it that way. Let's get this one. Okay. Something we could do is just type is. You can write a wrapper around this. Actually, I think I'm going to do that anyways. Well, this will take care of my bottom margin, but I'm not going to put the I'm not going to put any right margin into it before. What I want to do is throw it all into its own container, and then that's going to have a max width. Now we want hero left to push the slider all the way over, but we don't want the line. We don't want the line break to happen here. The designers probably put this period here for a reason, so let's respect what the designers wanted to do. A lot of times you might be tempted to do that. But what that does now is it's just going to break it at different screen sizes. So let's, in general, I don't put carriage returns in my text. And we'll take this, we'll call this hero wrap, maybe heading wrap. And let's see, what was the size of this text? Got it at 2.75. And this one is 18 pixels, 1.125. Okay, now let's go back to this one here. 32 is looking good. Let's see, does it cut off at business? Yeah. And this we want to be lighter, so let's call this subtitle. We don't want subtitle, we want subtitle. This should be 0 too. Okay. All right, we need a button, we need a form, we need a line, and we need a link. Button, form, line, link. And they're going to go inside this. We'll call this hero button wrap. This has to be a link block, not a button, because it's got an icon right here. So, yep, that's link blocks in there. And I want an icon. So let me grab this. Just going to hold option. What was it? Camera? What does that get me? That's definitely not what we want. Had a little plus sign in there, video call. I know this doesn't do anything because I haven't actually defined the class, but I'm moving forward. Oh, it's going to screw me because I can't get the outline. Because that plus is going to go away. Anyways, let's move on. Need some text in there. Call this an. I already have a button class. I'll just call this icon button. Change that to 1 rem. Just make this 1. Now, does this have a bottom? Yeah, that's why. Cool. Call this icon button text. I didn't grab the blue. Come on, give me the blue. This looks good. Enter. That's fine for now. This needs to be white. As does this. That's why, because I don't have the outline. But I'm going to roll with it. Just going to keep rolling. Yeah, I think I can just, don't need to give this a combo class or anything. Button needs some padding. Give it 0.5. Holding down shift to just affect all the sides. The reason this is expanding is because it's not fitting the content. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. What did I mean to do? I should just want it to fit the size of the content. I'll make it flex, and that'll do it. And I'm going to apply top margin of maybe a little more. I think it's pretty, yeah. And now we need to throw a form. The forms have a bunch of margins already applied as well, but we can take care of that quickly enough. Just going to remove all the stuff already built on there. And I'm going to, I want this to stretch to the height of the parent. So I should be able to go that and do that in alignment and order. So what if I 100% the height? Oh, I think, let me leave that, leave it on stretch, and then go here. I'll have this take up 100%. And then the text field's got to do the same thing. Cool. Rename these. This probably doesn't need form. Feels redundant. And I'll just call this form block. Cool. And I want, what do I want? This doesn't take up quite the entire space of the container. So what I'll do is on the form block, I will just give it some margin on both sides. 2 rem, and I'll give it 2 on the other side, and then I will tell it to expand, to fill. Sorry, grow. I keep saying expand. I mean, it's the same thing, but trying to get my lexicon straight here. Add some rounded corners on these. Rounded corners, also known as border radius. Well, this is interesting. My first stream and still all alone here, 40 minutes in. But that's no problem. That's to be expected. Curious to see what happens. I'm going to see where this goes. Cool. I was just adjusting the padding on the button, and I just noticed that the hero component, since I set a min height to 100 viewport height, and this is taking up some of the viewport height. If I just set this to fixed, then it'll pull it from the page, essentially from the document, and we can now it'll take up Now there's no vertical scroll because this isn't actually taking up any height within the normal document flow. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm going to set it to top here, and I just noticed all the icons went away because I changed this to white. So let me go. Let's see if I change this back. What's it going to go to? Dark gray. We want this to be light gray. And I'll call this is white. Easy enough. Let's make this look pretty. What does it say in there? Enter a code or link. Okay, and we need a keyboard. This one's going to be gray. Let's pull an icon down here. Keyboard. All right. Well, at least that one worked out for me. And then it's going to be absolute because it's going to kind of sit within the form here. So again, I have to pull it from the document flow, much like we did with the navbar up here. But before I do that, I'm going to set this to position relative so that when I set this to position absolute, it knows what it's relative to. Sorry, not relative, absolute. And now it's relative to form, which is exactly what we want. So what I'm going to do now is form. What happened here? Oh, again, because I'm affecting icon. I keep doing that. Oh, that's fine. Let's call this is keyboard. There we go. That's what we want. And if we no, this one. We set this to what's a good way to do this without being all willy-nilly? All willy-nilly. No, don't want that. I mean, I could just do this. It's fine. I need to give this some padding. 2.5. Wonderful. Let's make this 1. Rather than 8 pixels, we make it 0.5 rem. Same thing. Just check this looking pretty good. I don't want that texture wrap. Put this on no break or no wrap. And we just need a horizontal line and a link now, and we should be good. I'll focus on the show and reveal later. It's coming right under the form. Actually, bring it out one. Divider line. Give this a height of 1 pixel. Width 100%. And it needs background color. Yeah, I was thinking that would be too dark. That looks pretty good. Let's give it top and bottom margin so it pushes away from everything. And I don't think it fills up actually 100%. Goes a bit beyond everything else. I think that's pretty good actually. I'll leave it. We'll leave it and learn more about Google Meet. And this is just a link. Call it link inline so that we can actually give it color. I think is it underlined? What happens when I hover? Yeah, when I hover, it gets underlined. Awesome. Left side is pretty much done for desktop breakpoint. And then how big do they have this? 330. Make it 21 or 20.65. Might as well just stick to what they got. And I don't want to make that set. So when I set this to max, everything looks awful. So we'll set that to 100%. And if I set a min width, then it's not going to go below that. And I don't want the image to shrink anyways, but that's if I chose for one thing to shrink, that's probably what I would want it to shrink. So I'm thinking I have to use this aspect ratio technique, but I don't really want to right now. The aspect ratio, I would have to wrap it in another div, apply a top padding of 100%, and then a width. Oh, let's do it. No, I'm just gonna. Is this? Okay. Oh, it's because pixels. Let's see what happens here. Okay, width is 100%. Or no, we'll just leave it. So let's see what happens when I resize this thing. Can I tell it to contain? It's still causing everything else to flow. Although, I mean, it's just going to sit below anyways. So it's actually fine. But I don't like how I have it set up at the moment. I'm going to just hard code it into the width and height for now. Something to know about these slider components is that they have some custom code written on them by Webflow. So I'm going to publish this and show you what I mean. I did. Oh, no, that worked. Okay. Let's find the slider. That's the slider mask. Here's the slider. So it has a height of 300 pixels already applied to it. That's why this is getting cut off. And it's just in general looking kind of funky. In that background color, we don't want that either. So select the slider here. Just give it a class of slider. And I'm going to tell it to have a height of auto. And now it fits the image. And let's see. So I have this. This is setting to shrink to as much as it can. Okay. How's the width? This won't do anything. Yep. Slider. I'm curious why it's giving me some extra room on the right side here. But what I can do for that is just go into the slide. No, I can't change it there. I'm gonna put another div block in. I want everything centered. And that's there. And let's get rid of that gray. Take a drink of water. It's tough talking to yourself. And let's get some text in there. I think it's actually this one. It's the first one. I don't want get a link you can share. Make it H2. Where did it go? I think you can't see what I'm doing too well. So what happens if I drag myself over here? Okay, we'll see how that goes for now. And already this slide nav is kind of getting in the way. We can deal with that if it gets really, really in the way. I'm kind of, that's why. And I think it was 28 pixels. Double check. 24 and 14 below it. So 24 divided by 16 rem. And then we need a paragraph below that. This was 14 divided by 16 rem. Okay, so now the content is growing. You know what I'm going to do is the width. That I'm going to set that as a max width on the slider. Uh-oh. This needs to be rem. And now the image, I should be able to remove these. Yeah, that's much better. And let's grab this text. Google Workspace Individual includes longer group calls, recording, and other features. That's wonderful. And what we need to do is in this wrapper, see, we've got it all already aligned to center, but we also need to center all of the text. Okay, and I know I removed this, but we're bringing it back. Actually, I think that's the opposite way I wanted to do it. It's about the same, top and bottom. So that's fine. I already put the text size down there. Okay, let's deal with the slide nav, because that's kind of bugging me there. Oh man, what'd I do? I moved the slide because there's nothing on slide 2. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to get the slider dot. So there's one with a combo class of active and just the normal one. Let's go ahead and grab this W slider dot class. You can't change the colors here in the settings. You can invert the colors, but that's not what we want. You also can't change the size. You can change the spacing. So we need to just write a little bit of custom CSS for this. I think it was background color. Did we want to, not that one, this one. This is the property we want. Set it to red. Yep, so now that's red. And the one that's active, we want that to be that blue color that we have. Just make it blue so we can see the difference. Oh man, what'd I do? Oh, we need the combo class. Perfect. Let's get that blue though, so that it's looking nice. Okay, head up to here, go back. Let's see, the active one we want to be this blue color. And let's make the inactive one, how does it look? It's kind of like that light gray. So let's do that. I think this had the color. I'll pull that color. Up here. How's that looking? It's a little bit dark. Yeah, it's definitely too dark. What was this color? CCC. I like that one. Good for now. Let's change the size too. So I'm just going to do that on the base class, and we'll say width is 0.5 rem and height is 0.5 rem. Great. Maybe even a little smaller, 0.4. They're pretty small on the Google site. Okay, and then slide nav, I like that it's sitting at the bottom here, but let's say we want it below by its own height. Way we can do that is here in the transforms. If we go to move and we just move it down y by 100%, then that'll put it in a place where we want it to be. And now we can navigate there. So these dots are looking good. That's how you customize these Webflow custom dots. This is looking like too much space here. Let me see. If I'm here, picture definitely looks too big, but I kind of like it big. It's fine for now. Do more with meat. Let's see, how's Hero Right looking? Yeah, that takes up as much space as I want it to. This is extending as far as it can. We probably want some sort of gap between the two because let's imagine that we're bringing the screen in. It's going to yeah, you want some sort of space. It's already on iPad, so at this point, it's going to drop down anyway, and you can see we already kind of have some space, but let's go ahead and on the flex, is it the hero component that has left and right nested in it? Yeah. Let's give this just a gap of 2 rem just to be sure. So that way it'll always maintain at least some sort of gap from the left side. And yeah, we're going to need that anyways because we're going to move these icons. So that I can see them, let's change this to, I think basically they're pretty black on the site. I didn't want to do that on the arrow class. I want to do that on the icon. Do that. Give this the same class. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It became this icon. That's right, slider. See, that's why naming is important. That is why naming is important, Keegan. And I'm just going to give these both a class of arrow. And we'll name this one is right. And this one, let's see, do I have the arrow basically what I want it to be? I think, well, it needs to be smaller for one, but I can do that on the icon. Something, like if you set this to 2 rem, yeah, since it's an icon, that's not going to actually change anything. So a little trick we can do is just scale it down. It's pretty small on the site, but we'll leave it there. And then this arrow, we want to come up here. Now it has no width or height information. If we give it some here, will it find it? No, it will not. This is why working with the sliders is kind of weird. There's there's some code and stuff written by Webflow that always trips me up. If you really want, go in here and have a look around at what they're doing. Yeah, see, it has a width already applied, and anyways, I think I know what we can do real quick just to get around it all. Let's bring back. Okay, that's what we want. It is absolute, which we want. We'll put it up there. I like this. I'm going to make it 3 because that's what we did with the other one. And now, since this is right, I'm going to put it up over here. And this, now I'm going to bring it down. Say that looks pretty good. Maybe 31. And then again, I just want to shift it over by its own width to the left. And so to do that, I'm going to use the transform, and I'll move it negative 100% so that it ends up over there. I'm going to do the opposite with the one on the right. Let's see, how come it's not? Oh, because it has this transform applied. What I should do, let me undo that, and I will undo all this, and undo, let's just undo this. Okay, that's fine, and I'll give this is left now. And now is when I'll do the positioning. So this was 31, and then the transform, negative 100% on the x-axis. Excellent, and is right is going to go to the top right. And I'm going to move it down 31%, and I'm going to transform it 100% this time. Something to be cognizant of is our page padding here. It's going to define whether or not we can actually click the arrow. So we're okay because it gets here to the end. It does look a little bit weird in my opinion that it fills the page padding. We can maybe deal with that. What we could do is like add padding to the slider itself and then move this. We could make the hero right actually take up a little bit more space and give it the padding on the left and right. I think that's probably the best solution. Now we're going to run into probably that issue. Yeah. So before I hit the breakpoint, it's not going to hit that. But a sneaky little thing I can do, since Google didn't apply any max width to their containers. Oh, that's actually not going to fix it. I'm an idiot. So, okay, so right there is where it's starting. Let's just bump this down a little bit because it was looking too big anyways. Bump down the gap a little bit. See if that gives us enough room till we hit the breakpoint. Nope, not quite. Do I want to dial this down anymore? Not really. Let's do a little bit less padding. There. Now we're good. See, it's going to the next breakpoint just before it starts hitting there. And when we go to the breakpoint, we're gonna chuck it into the bottom anyways. So we'll do that now. iPad, let's change this to vertical. And something we need to do is we need to add some padding to some vertical padding. We'll do that on desktop because what I don't want is, say we're resizing on desktop here, we don't want it to run into the nav. Remember we pulled that from the document kind of workflow. So come on to hero component, and I'll just start with 4 rem on either side. And that way now, for shorter screens, we'll at least stop before we get up there. Did I lose my other tabs? I did. Let's check this back in here. Perfect. Okay, we got a pretty good layout going here. It's been about an hour, which is a good amount of time. Take a little more water, look at things. I think next we'll work on some interactions. I'll throw in another slide just so we have 2 things to look at. delete that and just copy the slide. And now I want to work on the second slide, and I'll just change out the image to this one. I think it was get a link or share a link, I bet is what they said. Get a link you can share. And I'll grab this too. Click new meeting to get a link you can send to people you want to meet with. Get a link you can share. Click new meeting. And we'll make this bold. Actually, better way to do it. Oh, come on. All right. Make me do it again. I'll make it a span. Looks good. Okay. Let's change that default animation. Just do something easy like fade in and out. That's nice. I don't think they had any. Yeah, they don't have any on the main site here. And let's add some hover effects. This is arrow, icon, link block we want on hover. That's way too dark. Let's use that CCC. That's even too dark. Let's half that. And we're going to add border radius of 100 VW. Actually, I want that to be on the base class. Just the hover changes the color. That is good. That's all we want. And then 100 VW radius. And we will add a transition to background color. Let's do 300. It does it instant on the site, but I always like adding transitions. I think it's a nice effect. Cool. Now that's applying to all those. Just making sure these don't have it. Okay. Go on arrow. Give it a transition for background color, 300. And border radius 100 VW. Actually, these I want to do to the base arrow class. So I'm going to remove the radius and I'm going to remove the transition. Let's go back. Now on arrow, we want to add 100 VW, 100 viewport width, I should say. And the transition of border color, 300. I think that's all I want. Oh, and hover. Hover, I actually want to change the color. Let's get that color. And now we'll go back to the none state and say is left. And now we should have a hover. Yeah. It's even still a little bit too dark. Let's go ahead and change that swatch. Edit the swatch is what I want to do. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Let's do responsiveness because I think that'll be pretty quick, although it usually takes me longer than I think it will. And we can then look at doing the effect where this reveals the join button and maybe get into the time. I think I'm going to probably run out of time. I have to go pick up my buddy at the airport tonight, but we'll get as far as we can. I'll probably go for another half hour here. Cool. Let's keep grinding. Okay. We're on iPad. Let's add some more. Double this. we're going to take the heading wrapper. Still want a max width. I think that's actually pretty nice, the max width still. Yeah, but let's center everything. Mm, not a big fan of that. But we can text center. That's much better. Let's see. Yeah, they keep it aligned to the left. Okay. That's good. Now on landscape. What do they do once it gets... they let the text wrap. So we will too. We can see our Navbar starting to get janky. Theirs gets janky too. So, I mean, we could do that, but that's even not good. What I think I'd rather do is just hide this, not this one. I mean, let's hide the date and time for sure. And this little guy too. That's good. And then down to here, we'll just assume that we have a nav menu. I don't want to take the time to build out a full menu right now. I'm going to put these in another. Well, I could hide this. Hmm. Put these in a nav. I don't know. Icon triplet. And go back to desktop. Make them flexbox. Now I'm going to hide them. Good. And 320 is about as the last breakpoint I worry about. Let's see. How does this do? That's fine. We need to fix the buttons. Vertical, and let's give the form block 1 rem. Do I want it to be 100%? Not really. It does look a little bit weird. Let's give it a little more padding there. I mean, people are going to be touching these with their fingers. That looks pretty good. No, that doesn't look good at all. Maybe we'll just leave it like that for now. I wonder what Google does. Okay, they just left align them. We can do that. Remove the... Where do I have the margin? I thought I put it on this. Yeah, so this will be 0. And that's looking pretty good. Yep. Cool. So responsiveness is done. Let's get back to here. I'll just go ahead and publish it. I've been trying to do more animations with CSS and just kind of page stuff in general so that it's faster and avoiding the interactions pain. It's not the
worst place to be, but I find it's pretty easy to run into bugs with interactions, especially when you're doing a lot of sticky components and different things. So, yeah, what I'll do is just I was learning about this form. What was it? Form input or something. So that essentially, when you focus on the form, you can target elements within it. So if you focus on anything in the form, then it'll trigger. I'll show you what I mean. I have this code snippet here that I'm going to bring in. So I want this to apply to the form itself. So this has a class of form on it. So anytime a user clicks or focuses, so click or keyboards into it, we want to reveal that join link. And I need the join link to actually be there. So let's put it right here in form. This should be X horizontal. And this is just looking weird because the link block is there. So let's get some text in there. I'm just going to say join. We'll call this join link. And flex. Oops. Make it one. Nope. Do have that down here. Give this some padding and get rid of that. I don't want it to actually change the height, so looks like 0.8 is pretty good. It looks nice. And by default, we'll have it be this light gray because it's deactivated. I think it does have a hover effect when it is active. Oh, I mean, yeah, it's a little one there. We can do that too. And okay, so this says join, and it's a link block. I think let's call this join link text. I think it's looking kind of how we want. It's a flex. Let's get that shrink and this expand. And we'll go back to our embed here. And the code that I want is going to, so we want to target dot form, meaning the class of form. And we want to focus within. And then once we are in that selector, we want to target the join link. And what we're going to do is we're just going to show it. So we're going to set display flex. And oops, cancel. I want to save and close. Right now, display is, so we'll set display to none. But if we come in here, now we focus, it's not working, of course. Where's join link? Join link. Oh, it's because I set, what did I set to none? Was it the text? I don't want that. Text should stay block. Join link we'll set to display none. There we go. All right. And then we want it to be deactivated by default. So we can make this custom class pointer events none. Webflow doesn't expose the pointer events property in their styles pane. So we'll call this just no click. Open up some curly braces, and we're going to target the property pointer events. Set that to none. And now, if we apply that to this join link, where's join link? I'm always looking for join link. Let's say no click. Now we should see that we don't get the pointer and you can't actually click it, but we are focusing out, so it goes away. It's kind of a weird user experience, I guess, if you ask me, because I'm not focused in anymore. Let's see, how does Google do it? Yeah, same thing. It is what it is. If Google does it, it's good enough for me, right? Okay, and now we just want to activate it once we start typing some stuff. For this, I am going to need some JavaScript. So I'll just go to Code Sandbox and create a new sandbox. Got to be static. Call this Google Meet YouTube. We need to make a file. I'll just call it index.js. And what we want to do is we essentially want to know if there's any, let's see, if there's any text in here. Oh, wrong one. Any text in here, it should turn blue and become active, so it'll remove that no click. Otherwise, it becomes deactivated. So we can use another class called enabled, which will have pointer events with reset pointer events. I think it's just set to auto. And then we'll change the text color. And we can then add a hover effect to that as well. Yeah, let's do that. Before I do that, I'm going to build the actual class. So let's show this. I don't want no click. We'll say is enabled. We want, well, it's going to be flex anyways. And we want to turn this blue. That's because I set the text on the, remove that. I'm going to come back here to the link block. Well, I'm going to come into the text. I'm going to reset the color there. I'm going to come back out to the link block. Going to set that to flex so I can see it. I am going to set the color, the default color here, to be this gray. And now is enabled. Will be blue. And it'll have that hover effect. It needs a, well, the border radius should be on the actual thing. So let's remove is enabled. 0.3 rem on all sides. Let's add is enabled back. And we'll give it that hover. Background color. Do this and just come on over here. Oh, I don't want that much of a background radius. Actually, let's just use what we had here. That's a little bit. Now I'm like thinking that it's not enough. Perfect. It did have a little bit of blue in the Google one. So let's just make a new one. Uh, Definitely had some more blue. That looks nice. What did I do? 3 rem. I want 0.3 rem. Okay, now let's add this is enabled. Okay, it should have a little bit of spacing too. Oh, forgot to enable. Okay, give it a transition. We're getting there, we're getting there. Just gonna do all. Just need to do text and background, but it's just easier for now. Perfect. Okay, I'm just gonna CSS preview this and grab it. Just gonna paste this in a note off screen. what we want to do is when there's text in here, we will add that is enabled class and remove the no click class. Oh, come on. Oh, was I adding it to the, man, that is such a bummer. I meant to add it to the other one. Why am I making this so difficult on myself? Remove that there too. What else did I screw up? Remove this. Remove this. Okay. Well, I copied the code, so what I can do is come in here. Just add it this way. This will save us some time. Hmm. No, I'm going to do it the other way. Well, just say, I don't know all the properties off the top of my head, so I'll probably get some stuff wrong, but it is what it is. 14 EC, what was it? So that's going to change the text color. And the background was on a hover. So let's do that. I don't want it to be the same. What do we have for the slider dot? It's just, that's active color. We want that. Let's just pull that. Okay, let's just go away and make sure everything's still working. Yes. But we need to apply no click. And no click should not have a display setting. Okay, now we're back to where we want to be. And let's go to our custom code. And so I want to get the input and I want to get the join link. Let's go ahead and give these IDs. We'll call this just code form. And the join link is just going to be join link. Okay, I'm going to publish those back here. So const code input equals, or was it code form? Not that it matters on that side of the equation. Document.query selector. And we want to grab by ID of code form. And we want to get the join link. All right, this is published. Let me see, join link and code form. That's good. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this URL here. I'm going to put that in our custom code before the closing body tag. We'll write script source equals, throw that in there, and we want index.js. This is going to let us test our custom code without having to republish all the time. So I'm going to publish again. And what we want to do is we want to add an event listener to this thing here, such that when we click it, we're listening for an input. Let's see, this publish. I'm curious why it's not. showing the join link button. Because it's working in Designer. Oh, I need to refresh. Here we go. Okay, and you'll see if I inspect on the form and I go to, where do I want to go? Event listeners. So these are all the events you can listen to. I want to look for, I was looking for this one called input, but I'm not even seeing it here. Change is one we can listen to as well, but I believe input is the one that I want to use now. The input event fires when the value of an input, select, or text area has been changed. We're definitely listening to an input. So I'm not sure why that's not showing up in the Chrome inspector, but we're essentially just going to grab this block of code here, and we want to add the event listener to the form input that we have. So let's go back here. So we'll say code form dot, and then we'll paste that code, and we want to listen for input, the event. And what we want to say is if code form dot length dot, sorry, not dot length, dot value. Oh man, autocomplete's killing me here. Let's say it equals 1. Then we want to enable the join link. So join link dot add class. Let's remove the pointer events first. Well, let's see, dot class list dot remove no click. And we don't have to put the period here because we're accessing class list. Join link dot class list dot add is enabled. Otherwise, let's see, do we want to, I think we just want to run it if it's 0, because we don't care if it's anything greater than 1. So we don't want this other code to run is greater than 1. These are really the two conditions we care about. If it's 2 or more, then we could care less. Join link dot class list dot remove. This time we're going to remove is enabled. Join link dot class list dot add no click. Put that in quotes. Save that. And we can reload here. Let's see. It's obviously not working. Cannot read properties of undefined, reading value. Let's see. So that was code form dot length dot value. So let's grab code form. We want this here. Just copying that. That's already in there. Dot value. What am I missing? If it's empty, is value undefined? No, 0. I reversed it. Okay. And I mean, it's active, but I screwed up the class, definitely. I gave the background color to the text. So let's fix that. Yeah, whoops. So we want that to be disenable to hover. And let's grab this royal blue and apply that. Where we had the empty. And I'm going to need to publish that. Cool. And see our hover's not working. No, it is. It's just because we had the touch mode enabled in the inspector there. Okay, I think I could use more border radius, but I'm feeling pretty done with this. One other thing is this slider here. Google Meet does gray out the slider when you're kind of close to, or when you're at the end, and it doesn't do an infinite loop. So luckily, Webflow has some stuff built in. You can hide arrows at end. You can't gray them out. What else? I think that's good. I mean, in general, pretty happy with that. We built the Google Meet lander in about an hour and a half. So I think that's pretty good. I'm not going to deal with the time. I'll do that in a separate stream or video. But that's about everything I wanted to accomplish today. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully, I have some more content coming. And if you have any feedback on something that could make the stream easier to digest or just better in general, let me know. Definitely open to feedback. And if you have any questions, add them to the comments. I will make this clonable. I'll put that in the description too. And